Hi, and welcome to another episode of Journey to a Dream, brought to you by Kawasaki Insurance. This podcast series is all about trying to find out what drives people when it comes to road racing, and specifically what makes them want to race here on the Isle of Man. And we don't just talk to the racers themselves in this series, but also some of the people who are integral to ensuring that it happens over here. Well, today's guest is a road racer, albeit one who's fairly early on in his career, but he's already had some great success. Let's meet him now.
I'm Grant Thomson. I'm 27 years old and from the Isle of Man, and I'm a motorbike racer.
So Grant, when I say to you motor racing, what does that conjure up for you?
A lot of things, to be fair. Main thing for me is obviously the road racing, but it's obviously not just that, it's all the off-road and everything that all joins into it to basically bring you to where you are.
And where did it all start for you?
I was 2.5 when I got my first bike, got a little LT50 quad, and then really it all just stemmed from there. We got a little PW50 and went racing basically from there. We used to compete in all the local events up at Derby, at Ballygarrigan, Knockfroy and Santon, and obviously West Kimrick up in Andrea. So my earliest memories is literally riding bikes.
And is it in the family?
My cousin Andy, he did a little bit of bike racing, but not really a massive amount. He obviously had bikes and that when he was younger and did little bits and bobs, but he didn't really do a massive amount. So most of the bikes, has come through me. He actually fixes them, so it's sort of seeing your older cousin riding them, fixing them, you standing in the garage every weekend as a young lad seeing it, you think, right, I want to do that.
What do you remember about sort of getting started and actually being a bit more competitive?
Sort of weird, to be fair. Like, I've always been around it, and obviously to start with, I'm going to admit I wasn't very good on the motocross bike to start with. I just used to go up there every weekend, me and my mum, because obviously just us pair, so literally she took me to everything. Every single weekend we'd be at a different track, or we'd be practicing, or just something like that. But she's always said, you ride and have fun at it, really. And it was only really towards the time I started getting to the age of 16, 17 that I really started, to want to push harder through it and obviously to achieve more from it.
That's amazing, really, from your mum, isn't it? Particularly if she wasn't necessarily a biker herself.
Yeah, it was, to be fair. She didn't really know much about riding bikes or anything like that. I obviously came along and we started racing, and literally mechanic, marshal, everything for me through then, and to be fair, it's still the same now.
Now, you're quite self-effacing about saying you weren't very good when you started out, but then you really have got a very successful background in motocross, enduro and supermoto as well. Do you remember the point where you thought, actually, I'm quite good at this and I really want to take it further?
Started obviously doing very well in the Isle of Man Championship for the motocross and all, and then it was towards the end of 2015, and I thought, what do I do now? Do I pack up, or so I took a little bit of a break out, and I seen a few of my mates had gone to enduro, and I thought, do you know what, I'd like to have a go at that. So we did a full year in 2016 when I started doing it. I had no clue what I was doing. I got given a little card in the morning. It's called a time card. You have your time sheets and everything. I remember walking around signing on going, can someone tell me how you fill this out, because I don't understand what any of it means. You've got to be on time, you've got to be at this check for that point. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. But it really stemmed from that. So then we did a full season at it, and then towards the end of 2016 I started going away. That was the first time I've ever actually been off island to compete. We did a couple of events called the Tough 100, the Sucker Punch and stuff like that, with war events. And I always remember at the end of it, I came back and I thought to myself, we've obviously done the time cards and stuff like that. I really wanted to have a go at extreme enduro. So basically riding through horrible rivers, pushing your bikes up hills, and I thought, right, this is what I want to do.
Who wouldn't want to do that?
I know. But no, like I say, we started the 2017 season. I bought a new bike ready for it. We went and did a whole, series of a championship. And unfortunately, halfway through the season, I ended up breaking my arm, which resulted in me having a plate and 6 screws put in there. And lucky enough, the championship rounds that I was doing, it didn't actually clash. It gave me enough time to heal, so I think we were out for about 7 weeks, and then literally the doctor said to me, right, you can go and ride again, and it was the following week, so I was like, we're not going to make this. And then obviously I was back at work for a couple of weeks beforehand, and he goes, no, you can ride again now, it's fine. So literally that whole week after work I was out riding, trying to get fit, trying to do this, because I only had 3 rounds left for the championship. And then we literally pushed all the way through to the end of it, and it come down to the last round really, because obviously going there after being injured, it was a bit of a struggle. You know, all the boys had still been doing the races in between, whereas I'd been sat doing nothing for 12 weeks, so I didn't ride as well as I wanted to, but I knew that if I could be consistent enough, we could be okay. And going into the last round, we ended up winning the race, which gave me the championship. And then in the same year, we'd finished second in the Isle of Man Motocross Championship and the Enduro Championship, both of them over here, missing out by 1 point. So it was a bit of a kick in the teeth.
But then, I mean, given what you'd been through and having to go through that physical and mental recovery, I'm guessing that is quite incredible.
Yeah, it's quite hard, you know, because you do always sit there and think, why am I doing this? You know, you sat in a hospital bed screwed together thinking, what am I doing here? But it's always the time when you're fixed and you're ready to go, you're like, right, I'm ready to go again.
How does your mum cope with that side of things?
She's used to it. She's used to it now. Like when I've been up to hospital and they've looked at your sheets and you're like, I've been here a fair few times. We'll go up there, we'll go, he's done this, done that. She's pushed me off to X-ray. She's like, we're missing out this waiting period, we're going down there. So
what an incredible person to have on your side.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's all hard work, but I just love it. Absolutely love it.
And we talk a lot to people in this series, and we'll get onto your road racing in a moment, but even up to that point, I'm guessing financially it must have been quite a struggle at some times. Yeah,
it was definitely a struggle. It was very hard work. So obviously the enduro scene was, you know, it was hard. Like we did the whole 2018, whole 2019 of full British time card enduro. And like towards the end of the 2019 season, I was a bit unsure on what I was going to do. Only because you think to yourself, you know, I was on the boat every weekend, literally back and forward, and it's like you try not to tally it up, but you do, and you think, this is a lot of work for not much gain, if you know what I mean. So at the start of 2020, I thought, right, I need to seriously have a think about what I'm going to do. And then my boss, Si Fulton, he'd just bought a supermoto, and I thought, I'd like to have a go at that. So I took, obviously with COVID hitting and stuff, you know, there wasn't really a massive amount happening. So I thought, right, we'll try this, we'll have a bit of fun this year, because obviously I didn't think much was going to happen in that year anyway. I thought, you know, we'll just take the year to just have a bit of fun and enjoy it, really. And ended up coming away with 2 supermoto championships in the next 2 years following that, and it was all good, but it was hard financially and stuff like that. It is very hard, but it's nothing compared to when you go road racing.
Was that always in your mind, or was it something that sort of changed and you thought, actually, might have a go at that?
Yeah, again, I've always wanted to do it, but you know yourself, when you sit there and you look at it and you see what the boys are putting in, it was a bit like, I don't think I'm quite ready, you know, to put everything into that. And again, it all stemmed from my boss, really, Si. He's won a Manx Grand Prix, he's been in the TT, he's done the 700, you know, he's been quite successful at it. And to be fair, I've got him to thank for a lot of it, really. At the start of 2021, he just bought this enduro bike and he wasn't sure what he was doing with it. He was basically doing it up as a project. And I always remember we were having a cup of tea in the morning and he basically come in and goes, right, well, here's the plan. You're going to ride for me now. So he basically gave me a bike for the next 2 years, basically took a bit of belief in me and thought, because of the issues we were having with my bikes and stuff, you know, sometimes it wouldn't finish or something would happen. He went, you need the right machinery. So he took a big step into me, basically going, there's a bike, ride it. And all I had to do was chuck my leg over it. After we'd finish for a weekend, we'd go back to work. Anything needed done, he'd be there after work, stripping it, doing it, and literally going, there it is, ready to go. So he had a big part to play in it, really. You know, I've seen what he's done in it, and I've always wanted to have a go at it, really. So it was like towards the end of 2022, I was helping a mate, Frankie Stennett. I've been helping him a couple of years for like the Southern and the Manx and all, and then I'd basically helped them all the way through Manx, and I thought, I want to go at this. This is a bit of me. So it was like 2 weeks after, I remember chatting with Mum about it. She went, well, if you do it, you're on your own. I was just like, all right, no worries. Basically thinking that I'd just go, not really interested in that.
And was that because she worries about you?
She just said that she never really wanted me to get into the road race situation. Yeah. Because obviously it is dangerous, but at the end of the day, it's something I've always wanted to do. So you sort of got to take the back step and go. Obviously, being an only child and stuff like that, it does go through your mind. You think, well, if anything did go wrong, but I thought it's something I want to do, and I've always said, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. But yeah, literally 2 weeks later, after we'd had the conversation, I basically rang her and said, can you open the garage for me? She was like, why? I went, I've got a race bike coming. And she just laughed at me and was like, yeah, okay then, and put the phone down. And then she rang me back about half an hour later and said, I thought you were joking. I was like, no, I wasn't joking. You said if I'm going to do it, I do it myself, and that's what I'm doing. But then basically, about 2-3 weeks after, we were going to our first test day for Derby before the end of the year. And it was quite funny because she basically said to me, obviously saying she wasn't coming, I was getting ready in the morning to go. She goes, I'm coming. Oh. I was just like, you can't sit back, can you? She's like, I'm not letting you go there on your own. Oh. As much as I said you can do it, she goes, I'm coming with you. And yeah, she's pretty much been to every event since then. That
support, though, must just be so invaluable, just to know she's been there despite her sort of concerns about it, and it just shows just what a priority you and your wishes are.
Yeah, it is massive, to have that behind it. And also my girlfriend Imi, she said to me, if you're going to do it, you need to do it now. And I was like, you know what, you are right. Because like we spoke about a fair few years ago, I thought to myself, back then I was a little bit of a wild child. I think if I had started then, I'd have been in a probably worse position than now, because obviously it's that sort of thing that you've got to sort of grow into it or have a bit of a steady mind. Obviously racing motocross and that, I was quite throttle happy. I don't think it would have ended too well there, but we just kept looking at the positives and thinking, right, if I'm going to do it, we're going now. So that's basically what we did.
At what point then did that all become a reality? Talk us through your sort of journey.
So basically, obviously I got the bike and everything and did that, but just beforehand, because you've got to go and do a thing called your race school. So you've got to go up to the grandstand of a night time and you've got to do like your little classroom course. So you've got to learn about all your flags and everything. It's a lot different, and obviously with all the off-road background, most of it, but it's like little different things like lack of adhesion flags and all that sort of stuff that you don't have in motocross. So you literally do that first, they sign your form, and then you've got to go to Derby and basically do, it's called your race school, so that's you like on the track and ride around and basically make sure that everyone's happy with what you're doing. And then once that's all done, they'll sign it off. You've got to then go for your eye tests and a medical to make sure your body's fit to do it, and then basically send your form off to the ACU, and then they'll send you your licence.
Do you remember getting that through the post?
Well, this is the other thing. Like I always used to remember, you used to get your licences through the post, but it's all online now, so it's in your wallet. So it's a QR code which you get, and you download it. So they scan it when you're at the track, so it pops up with all your information. But obviously, to start with, you've got to start on your novice licence, and then you've got to have your 10 signatures before you can move on to your clubman licence, and another 10 signatures before you move on to your national. So it was going to be a busy year anyway.
How aware were you of just what was involved in all of this?
I had a 3-year plan. I knew what I wanted. I've seen boys do it. Joe Yearsley, I'm quite good mates with him. He basically did what I did. Obviously he got struck with COVID when he was starting, so he had to wait a little bit longer. But the start of the year, my first actual race wasn't even on the island. It was at Alton Park. So we basically travelled over on there on the Thursday, and the Friday was like a practice day. Now, the weather was bouncing off the floor. Now, bearing in mind, I'd only rode this bike once, and you get to this track, and it's chucking down with rain, and I thought, right, I'm not too sure about this. You put your wet tyres in, and you go out there, and it's incredible that the wets grip just as well as the dry's doing the dry. So we did that. We raced on the Saturday, all day Saturday, and then Derby had a race meeting on the Sunday. So it was literally a case of pack the van, get to the boat, get off the boat, because we were racing Derby Sunday, because the way your signatures work, to get your 10 signatures and to get off your orange bib, you have to do 3 circuits. Now, Derby you can do clockwise and anti-clockwise, but you have to go to the UK for a 3rd circuit. So I'd basically cut out the middle bit, and the first race was away. I could have stayed and done just Derby basically for that rest of that year, but I really wanted to gain more experience with racing away and seeing what we could do. I think it was like June time, maybe August time, I'd done all 10 races. We were here, we were away, so basically we went to Alton Park, we went to Anglesey, we went to Aintree. We were going everywhere to try and get these signatures to basically do it. And like in the middle of summer, August last year, we didn't have any races on, so I thought, me and a few mates that obviously live away, we went, right, well, let's go on a holiday. So we actually had our bike shipped out to Italy and went and rode Mugello for a whole week. And then I had a bike issue on the first day when we were out there. The engine blew up when I got out there on the first day, on the first session, so I ended up having to hire a bike while I was out there. But because I was still on my sort of bib at this time, I knew when we come back I was meant to be racing at Anglesey that weekend, so we were meant to pick the bike up on Saturday across and drive straight to Anglesey to race. Well, I had a blown engine, so the other engine I had here we had to take with us. I had to pick the bike up just outside of a bit further past Liverpool, then drive basically back to Heysham to fit another engine, to then drive to Anglesey, which is like in the middle of nowhere. It's like a 4-hour drive from Heysham, just to race that one day so I could get my signature, because it was all, right, we have this plan and this. If we don't get this, I'm not going to make it, so we've got to be on the ball. So me and Mum went away and we literally drove down, did everything like that, went back, and it was one of them weekends like on the Monday. Now you'd get the overnight boat home Monday, you'd get off the boat at 6 o'clock in the morning, you'd go home, get a shower, and you'd be back off to work. So you're not getting much time to rest, really.
I wonder whether there are any times where you sort of said it a little bit earlier, think, what am I doing?
I sort of got that towards the end of last year, to be fair. It was like, right, I finished off and I literally put the bike in the garage and I went, see you later. I'm having a break from this now, because it is mentally tiring. But you did it. You got the signatures that you needed. Yeah, literally we got the signatures, we did everything we needed, and then obviously it's like you go on to your clubman then. So there's another 10 signatures. So it was literally a case of, like, my mum and missus would come away with me. One of my sponsors, TM Vinyl, he'd come with me. My boss, Si Fulton at FVS, he'd come away with me, because you can't do it on your own. It's impossible. It literally is impossible, between tyre warmers and just everything that's going on around it. So literally we were on the boat every weekend pretty much getting them, and it was we'd done everything we had, there was no more meetings to go, and we literally had one signature left. And I thought, how are we going to do this then? Because what do we do? But Derby still had their endurance race on, which meant that's another signature. So we did the endurance race, where we won our class, me and Dave Rigby, and that was my last signature towards the end of the year. Like, cutting it fine, but because you think you've only got till March to like the end of September, it's not a massive amount. So to do all the 20 races in between there, to get the signatures was hard work.
What a relief when that was done.
100%. I was ready for a break after that.
How much of a break did you have?
To be fair, I had a bit of a break. So obviously end of October, November, December, January, February, there's nothing really going on. And it was more January time that I thought, I should probably make a start on, getting the bike ready. And you start doing little bits at night time and thinking, we're getting there, we're doing this and that. And then you blink and it's like, the test day's in like 3 weeks time. And I'm like, right, that's it. Then every single night there you're in the garage flat out trying to get everything sorted, because you think, this is running out very quickly. I've not got a lot of time left, but you always seem to make the deadline. You cram everything in, it's all done. Like, I still had fairings to get painted, suspension to be serviced, everything to be done. I thought, I've left this a little bit too late, but I did need the break from it all. And then you sort of got going again. I mean, you talked about having to get things sprayed and whatever, and I guess, having mentioned some of the sponsors, there's that sort of responsibility to them, isn't there, to make sure that they're mentioned, to make sure that everything's covered from that side of things. So, lucky enough, at the end of 2023, I had the People's Bike.
Just explain what that is to us.
So basically, the People's Bike is run by Mark Owen and Janice Thomson. It's basically a thing called Fuel by Fans, like at TT and stuff like that. People can come up and like donate fuel for a lap or put money towards the tyres and stuff like that. So it's all obviously a massive help. All these people, my bike that's got it on at the minute, it's got pictures of everyone individual face on the side of it, and they're everybody that's put into the team. When I was helping my mate Frankie, he actually rode with them, and then it was towards the end of last year, basically, Janice and Cubbo got in touch and said, you know, we would like to bring you on as a rising star for next year for your road race campaign, you know. And I'd seen how everything worked, you know. It's a nice little family like group with everyone around there. It's such a nice atmosphere. So they obviously brought me in, and another lad that's from away, because he tried to bring newcomers to like the road scene. You know, there's not a lot of pressure, it's just a case of having fun. So they obviously come to me and said, you know, we want you to come and be with us as well. And obviously all my other sponsors like FVS and Neil's Advocates, and literally all of them that have been there from the start, you know, without any of them it would have been hard in that first year racing to basically get what I got. And obviously with work, Si letting me have the time off to go and chase what I was doing, because he knew how much it meant for me to do, and he knew that the 3-year plan that I wanted, if you don't do it now, you know, it's going to set back. Like if I hadn't got my signatures, I wouldn't have got them until the start of the year, and you're sort of starting off on the back foot then really, whereas I wanted it all done, new year, fresh start. Without any of them, you know, I honestly couldn't do it. How
incredible. And, you know, it's, again, Grant, people clearly see something in you.
I don't know what, but it's a good thing I can ride a bike, really. But no, it is a massive, massive help, you know, and I can't thank everyone enough that's brought me forward to this point and, you know, supported me. Just like little things as well, like when we've been racing this year, like the Southern and stuff like that, you know, people would come up and go, I know it's not much, but here's a little bit. But what they don't realise is every little bit helps. Got engines to pay for. Like this year we've had 2 engine rebuilds at the start of the year, because one would go pop and then the other one would go, and it's like, great. And they're like $3,000 an engine rebuild. So with 2 engines sat there, you spent $6,000 on both engines. It's like, right, well, that's now eating into my budget that I had for the year. But lucky enough, Slick Bass, he's helping me out a lot with the engines, and same with Si, you know. Between FVS and Slick, you know, they put an absolute rocket in between my legs this year. You know, I couldn't have asked for more from them. They literally went above beyond. You know, I'd speak to Slick, or I'd go, right, we've got this, we've got that, we need to try this, and he'd be like, right, let's come and try it, we'll do it, we'll get everything you can. And when I first jumped on that fresh engine, I thought, we've got a quick bike here. So, and unfortunately, chasing lap times and chasing wins, you know, you've got to be at the sharp edge of it because everybody else is, and it's sort of that thing where it's like, to be up there you have to try and have the best of everything, and it is hard, but everyone else is out there trying to make sacrifices doing it, so it's like, well, if I want to be there, I've got to do the same thing.
We talk a lot about the Andrews Racing Association in this podcast series because it really has been fundamental to so many people's career progression and success. And Lee Bartram from the ARA described you as probably the most impressive first newcomer season that they've ever seen at Derby. What does that make you feel?
It makes me feel good, you know. It was like, obviously going back to last year, in all 3 classes that I rode, I was in the top 3, all of them. I won the Clubman Novice Championship. We finished second in the 600 Championship, and we finished third in the Open Championship. And there was a little race as well away that I did, that I managed to win both days and stuff like that, you know. So to go away and obviously represent the island, you know, without the Andreas bringing us all through, you know, it wouldn't be possible. You know, we can do everything on island, we can go test and we can do it all, but there is such a good lot of local talent, you know, and you can see it when you're up there. The racing between us all, you know, it is very close. Like, you'll be swapping paintwork, you'll be literally leaning on each other and you'll be going through, but it's all safe, but it's all just such a buzz with racing with everyone. It's nice that we can actually do it over here, you know. So no, it is very good up there.
And something else, you've already mentioned the Southern 100 this year. What did you go into that meeting hoping for?
Literally, the only thing I wanted to try and aim for was to do a 100-mile-an-hour lap and to try and make it into a 600 race. Obviously, the build-up towards it was quite hard and stressful towards there to figure out, what I needed. It's a bit weird because you're going into the unknown. Like, you go into the Derby, you know what you're getting, and you know what's sort of going on, but on the Sunday night you have to go and have all your levers and helmet and your self-scrutineered with your rider's briefing and everything like that. Now, normally, obviously, when you're having your bike scrutineered, you take your kit with you, so it was like you'd go over to the Morton Hall and have that all done, and then that was your kit scrutineered for the week. Then you were signed on for the week. It was a little bits like that because I wasn't sure on what to do. But basically, going into there, I didn't really have a lot of expectation. I'd only been riding a year, and I'd only just, it was March to now, to July. We'd done a few meetings in between. A lot of people said, well, what are you expecting? What are you going to do? And I just had to keep reminding them, this is my second year. Yeah, you don't get a hero for going out there and, going flat out everywhere, because it's only going to end one way. So really going into it, I had my own little goals. I didn't really say much about them because obviously they're in your head and you don't really want to talk about it, to be fair. Like I say, the main goal was to eventually make it into that main 600 race and do the 100-mile-an-hour lap.
Well, you did make it, and you won it, the JCK 600cc B race. Talk us through the race as you remember it. Obviously, it's such a 4.25 mile course, so it's so quick. At what point did you think, I'm not doing too badly here?
It was a bit of a weird one. It was a bit of a weird morning, to be fair. So we got down there early on, before getting ready to race, and it'd been a weird week of how everything gone. There was an incident Monday. We only did 2 laps. Tuesday, it wasn't great conditions, so I'd only done 4 laps. So going into that Thursday, I was a bit very wary of what was going on. I thought, I'm about to go out here and race now, and I've only done 6 laps. That morning, it was the same again. It'd been raining all night. I got down there, it stopped raining, and I thought, what's happening here? Because this is really, it was starting to stress me out a little bit because I didn't know what was going on. Lucky enough, at about 9:15, me and my boss, Si, jumped in the car and went for a quick lap. And we noticed it was drying very, very fast. So I rang my mum and said, do me a favour, can you get the boys to change the wheels from the wets to the dries? Is that a good idea? And I went, just do it. And I put the phone down because I was like, we need to get back. So we literally got back, and I thought, don't know if this is a wise idea, but I thought, I've got to take it, got to take the chance. So we got to the holding area and the dummy grid, basically, so you've got to sit where you are, and I looked over, and Adrian Harrison, Dean Harrison's brother, had gone for the dries as well, and I thought, right, he sort of is thinking the same as me, but then your man that was in second had full wets on. And then I turned around and everyone else had full wets on, apart from another lad that I know called Wayne. He had full dries, and I thought, I'm seeing more wet tyres here than I am dry. So I thought, right, do you know what, on the warm-up lap on the way out, I will test to see how grippy it is. So I was going into a few corners and just pushing in to see what it was like, and I thought, it'll be alright, it'll be fine. So we did our formation lap and came back to the start, and lucky enough, with the motocross background, I'm quite good at starts. Sat there on the line waiting for everything to go on. I'm feeling really sick now. I'm sat there very nervous because you're going into the unknown, and you're looking down that straight towards Ballakegan, and obviously the road rises up, and then you can't see anything else. You can't see the rest of the road. I'm thinking, I'm about to go hurtling down there, but then you see the board come round, engaged gear, and that's it. Then everything just goes woof, and all the feelings are out of your mind, and you're waiting for that light to go out. And lucky enough, obviously, we got a good start down the bypass into Ballakegan on the first lap leading, and then pushing out towards Ballabeg hairpin. On the way down there, I was a bit worried about some of the corners because obviously it's under trees. I'm thinking they might not be dry, it might not be this, it might not be that, but just take your time. Well, as I got into Ballabeg hairpin on the first lap, it had a rain shower, and I thought, this isn't good. If this now rains, I'm going to have to stop because I can't ride on these tyres, and I'm not going to go out there just for the sake of riding it. Once we turned through there and headed out towards Ballawhetstone and Plough and dip, I thought, it's dry. there's no rain. But what I did was, because I was wearing tear-offs, because it was only a shower, but that freaks a rider out, because you think, well, how hard's this going to happen? You know, is this going to cause an issue, or what's it going to do? So I basically left the tear-off that was on with water on it. So in my head, I thought, no, it's fine. So if it happened again, I thought, right, now it is going to start raining and I'll know more. But I thought, if that's got water speckles all over it, it's not going to freak me out again. So I literally carried on until we got to Church Bends on the first lap, and I think I must have hit a bee or something, because it exploded all over my visor. So I had to pull the tear-off off, and then I obviously had clear vision again then. But I didn't, obviously looking over, I didn't see any rain then for the rest of it. And by the end of lap 1, I got the first pit board coming out of Castletown Corner, P1 plus 1, and I thought, right, okay, you know, he's there, and I knew I could hear him, and I thought, just do your own thing. And in my head I was thinking, if he goes past, I'll just wait till the last lap. I'll just have to wait till the last lap. So every lap we were just chipping away. There'd be bits where I'd pull away from him, but then there'd be bits where he'd pull me back, and obviously he's raced around there for a couple of years.
Who was it behind you?
Adrian Harrison. So having him chase me down, you know, he's raced round there a few times, and I thought, well, if he's going to catch me, it's because of experience. I thought, nah, I'm happy enough with this, you know, we'll just keep chipping away. And I think it was more lap 3 and 4, and I thought, right, we got a good lead here. The pit board was going out, but there was the odd bit I thought, he's gaining again, I know he's there, but we'll just keep, you know, chipping away. And then towards the end of the race I thought, right, we've got a good gap here, so we'll just keep chipping away. And then I got a pit board before the last lap flag come out, P1 plus 2, and I thought, that's growing. And then when we come back in, it was 6.4 seconds ahead, so it was a day to remember.
What do you remember about going over the line?
Not a lot, honestly, not a lot. We literally come down towards the finishing closer. I didn't really understand what just happened. You know, I seen the finish flag, I went through it, turned around to look to make sure that I was like, has that just come out? And then I was like looking back and I thought, he's not there. And then I was excited. You see on the video when I come in, I'm revving it, but I grabbed the front brake and enough go over the handlebars because I'm just that excited. Going into the winner's enclosure there, and then Chris Kinley speaking to you, and I was like chatting away, and he goes, you've just done 100.7. I was like, right, well, I didn't expect to do that, especially not the first run out. I was over the moon. What do you remember about the first conversation with your mum after that? I don't really remember much. We had that happen, and obviously I went round seeing everyone before we went up on the stage, and getting up on the stage with everyone, and the photographer asking at the end, you know, can we have a picture, you know, of the whole team there? And it was nice because every single person in that picture had helped me that week, and it was, you know, it was a very stressful week. You know, there might be the odd time where I was a bit snappy or a bit stressed out, but it's just because, like, unfortunately for us all, none of us knew what we were going into, and as being the rider as well, it was a bit like, right, have I made the right choice on this? Have I done this? Is there enough fuel in it? It all plays on your mind, really. So getting back to the van and seeing everyone, hug off everyone, you know, it was really nice.
What a way to really start the road racing career. And it's been a few weeks, and Grant, you've walked into today up to the studios here at Douglas Head on a pair of crutches.
Yeah.
What did you do?
I didn't ride the motocross bike until after the Southern, really, because I thought it'll be my luck that I end up getting hurt. We went down to Turkeylands on a Wednesday night for like a little practice evening. It was the last session of the day, and unfortunately I came off the back of the bike, landing on my foot, and when I stood up I thought something's not right here. So obviously off to Noble to have it checked over, and then there was no broken bones, but there was a torn ligament in my foot. At this present moment, it's just a case of resting it and making sure, you know, it's all right.
I mean, you mentioned before about, you know, obviously when you're really stressed when you were getting towards the Southern, about being a little bit grumpy. I'm intrigued to know what sort of person you are when you can't get on a bike.
Not a very nice one. You know, it's my little stress relief to go out there, and that's how I deal with things. You know, if you're stressed or, you know, you think you go out and ride your bike. I've not actually been too bad at the minute because I've literally just been a case of we need to get this foot fixed because I've not got long.
Because what's coming up next?
Well, we have one more round of the Andreas Racing Championship. I'm in second at the minute in the 600 class, and between me and first it's only 1 point. So I have to be on that bike. Regardless of pain, regardless of anything, I've got to race that weekend because I'm not going out without a fight on that one, I'm afraid. I've worked hard to get there this year with a few issues, and we were a bit further down, and to bring it back after that last meeting, I thought, no, we've got to be ready. So I think it gives me about 5 weeks before then. So,
and we were talking just before we started recording about trying to even get into a physio, but it's so difficult even getting appointments.
Yeah, and obviously the build up towards the Manx Grand Prix and everything like that, all the boys are in there at the minute, and it's like their busiest time, and I need to get in, but I don't want to take up time for the boys that they're about to go racing in a couple of weeks' time, whereas I've got another 2-3 weeks after that it's like, well, I can get sorted between then. So it is a hard one to get into there, but it's one of them. We just got to rest it and not do anything stupid.
Do you know what's interesting, though, is that you've clearly got a real gut instinct. If we think about, you didn't go any motocross before Southern 100 because you didn't want to hurt yourself. You think about the tyres. That must give you quite a sense of confidence.
It's either confidence or stupidity. I'm not really sure what the answer is to that one. I just knew, before the Southern, because obviously what we had coming up, obviously with the races and wanting to make it into the A race and stuff like that, I thought if I end up getting hurt now, all that hard work I did last year was for what? Nothing. And then it puts you on the back foot, because I wanted to obviously do the Southern before next year, because obviously the plan is next year to go to the Manx. So it's like, if I now get hurt, there's a setback, that's it. There's no road racing this year. But it was sod's law that I would get back on the motocross bike and end up getting hurt, and that was the reason why it sat in the garage until afterwards.
So MGP 2025 then, you want to be sitting on that start line on Glen Crutchery Road. Are you able to give us a sense of what it's going to take for you to get there?
Basically, I've got to try and apply at the end of the Manx Grand Prix this year I want to go as a newcomer. Obviously the People's Bike and FVS and Neil's Advocate and that, they're all backing me to go to the Manx next year. I'm hoping that we'll get accepted. There's no guarantee, but it's worth it. Obviously winning the 600B race, and then in that afternoon going on to the 600A race, which I made it into, and finishing 11 and doing 103.8 mile an hour lap. It should potentially hold me in good stead in getting there. But the way I look at it is if it's meant to be, it'll be. If it's not, it's not. But I really hope that I can, sit on top of Glen Crutchery Road next year and get the tap on the shoulder.
Where can people follow what you're doing race-wise?
I'm on Facebook, so it's under Grant Thomson Racing under there, or the other place where it does a lot of the posts, more like when I'm racing and stuff like that, because obviously they keep more updates. Obviously the peoplesbike.com, so that's obviously all up there as well. But literally after every session or every meeting, if you go onto my racing page, everything is there, so you can just keep up to date on that.
Well, Grant, it's been amazing talking to you, and we wish you all the very best, certainly in your immediate recovery and for the last round of the ARA Championships, but also looking ahead to next year as well. Your mum okay about you doing the MGP?
I think so. I don't think she's got much choice, really. It's one of them. Nah, she's looking forward to it. I thought it was going to be more stressful for her than it was, but obviously her and my missus, they've backed me all the way through this. When it was a week after the Southern that they both sent me the dates for next year, and I thought, right, we're a bit keen now, we've only just finished it, but I think we're all looking forward to the journey, and seeing where it could possibly take us. So. And
just finally, if anyone's listening to this and they're thinking that this is something that they would like to do, certainly like to try to do, what would you say to them? Just do it. Honestly, do it. It was the best thing I ever did, making the switch from the off-road side. If it's something you really want to do, or it's a dream that you want to do, you've got to follow it. This has always been a dream of mine to go road racing. It took me a few years to get there and to do it, but at the end of the day, if it's something you really want to do it straight away. You can obviously message Andreas Racing if obviously you're local and speak to them how you do it. Obviously book you in for your classroom course, then obviously your race school up at Derby. If it's something you want to do, obviously just do it, because you'll never regret it. Grant, it's been brilliant talking to you. The best of luck for the next year. Thank you very much. Grant Thomson, thank you so much to him for coming in, especially since he was hobbling in on a pair of crutches, although fingers crossed, as he said, that recovery is going well. And how lovely to hear him talk about his mum and his boss, Si Fulton, and the support that they've given him over the years. If you'd like to be part of this podcast series, I'd love to hear from you. BethSB@manxradio.com is the best email address. The link is on the podcast page. And as ever, Journey to a Dream is brought to you by Kawasaki Insurance. You can find out more about them by visiting kawasaki-insurance.co.uk. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.